Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Donna McElvaney, and we're going to do planned pooling today using Red Heart Super Saver in pink camo. Alright, it's really pretty. Looks like it's going to be pretty simple because I know that it doesn't have a whole lot of color changes like some of the other more difficult ones do. And here we have an eye hook. So I've got my eye 5.5 millimeter hook. And we're going to go ahead and begin. So I'm going to pull out here until I see where my colors begin to repeat. So what I've got here is I've got brown and this green color and a light pink and a darker pink and then back into the brown and then it goes back into the light green. And if you're not sure of your pattern, if it's going to repeat right there, then pull more out just to make sure that it does. But I know that this is going to repeat right there. Alright, so we just begin to do a chain. And we're going to chain through the entire sequence. Alrighty, just going to keep on going here. I've done several of these videos. I've done them in the different colors. I live in a small town and we have a pretty decent Walmart, and at our Walmart it does have a nice yarn section. It's got a lot of the Red Heart Super Saver and a lot of the variegated ones that do pool. So I decided to get those, and I'm already repeating here, so I gotta go ahead and pull back. Alright, so with the one that you start with, that's the one you want to wind up with that color on your hook itself, because that's where you want to begin your chain. That's where you want to begin your moss stitch row. We're going to go fourth from the hook, so we count this as number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I like to go underneath 2 of them because it makes for a more sturdier row. Some people go around the chain, and that's okay too. Alright, so we're going to moss stitch across. So my Walmart has several of the variegated yarns, so I decided to do some videos on all the different ones, because some people just need to see it in the color that they're using. Alright, so what we do is we don't want muddy legs. We want to know exactly how many that we do. Alright, so I've got the next color on my hook, which is good. I'm not going to have any muddy legs here. Muddy or split legs can really affect your count. It can affect how it turns out. So you want nice, crisp, clean legs. Perfect. Now I'm on to the light pink. A little bit of a color transition here that goes into the dark pink. Oops, sorry. My video on my phone here, so I'm going to pull out some more yarn. Okay, so and this is what I mean by a split leg. So I really don't want that. I've got 2 in the light pink. So maybe I'm going to get 3. Maybe I want to do it that way. So, and I say maybe because I really don't know. I'm going to tighten these up and see if I can get a 3rd stitch into that. See, it's kind of a transition color. It goes from this light pink and there's a transition into this darker pink. So I can get one stitch maybe out of that transition. Kind of, sort of, yeah. It's still a little bit muddy there, so I'm not really sure exactly if that's the way I want to keep it or not. I'm going to see how the next row comes out. Sometimes you can do that too. Move on to the next row just to see exactly how your stitches are going to come out on the second row. Maybe I need to just loosen it up and just have the two pink, and maybe it'll transition into that darker rose color pink. And then we go, then it's going to start back into the brown again. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to loosen these up and just get two of the light pink. Let me try that, because I don't think that transition color is going to hold true all the way through. So loosen her up a bit. See if that works. Yes. So now my next row going in is going to be the darker rosier pink. It's a little bit of a muddy there, you see. I'm going to continue and see how we come out. With the moss stitch, you can see that I single crochet and then I skip one with the chain. So I single crochet, I chain one, I skip one, I single crochet, chain one, and I skip one. Tighten that up a little. Okay, so here we have the brown, which is kind of the way we started. We started with brown on our hook. But what I want to do is, in order to make these shift, in order to make it go with the argyle pattern, we take one of the stitches out. So that stitch there is actually going to be used, going to kind of be ate up into this turning chain. So 1, 2, and then we're going to start with the brown. Sometimes it doesn't transition as easily as that did. Usually I have to wind up doing a modified puff stitch here, but that one actually did pretty good. Alright, so what we have here is we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brown, 3 green, 2 light pink, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of the darker pink. So we want to keep our count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 5 of the brown, 3 green, and you can write this down so that you don't have to like pull it out of your memory. All right, I've got 5 brown. I want to keep my numbers the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brown. Okay, and then I had 3 green, and here we are going into the green. 1, 2, and 3. 2 of the light pink. 1. Huh, see, that time it's already going into the transition color. So it's definitely going to be 2 light pink ones. I'm going to tighten these up a little bit to get the 2 light pink. And then I believe I had 4 of the darker pink, which was 1, 2, 3. And then this first turning chain with the long tail, this here is actually a stitch. So 1, 2, 3, so this was 4. So I want to have 4 of the rose pink ones. 1, go into the chain space, 2, 3, and here you can see we're already to the end. Chain up, and I need to make that 4th stitch because on this side your turning chain does not count as one of your stitches. On this side all your legs have to land. So, and these are your legs, and my saying is all your legs have to land on the side when there's no long tail chain there, and that's number 4. So we began this row here, we began it with the pink stitch, only it was counted as a chain. We also began this row with the pink stitch, only the legs have to land. Alright, so we're going to stop here and we're going to look. Here's where the brown stitch is. So my first brown stitch is up 1 and over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to have 5 brown stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see on your 3rd row, your pattern is already going to start to form. Make sure that you see it by the time that you go to your 3rd row. You have to make it work. Alright, 1, 2, 3, pull out some more yarn here, 4, and 5, and we go into the green. Stop and check. See, we're up 1 and over 1. That's where you see your pattern. The green is crossing over, so you have to look here. 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. We're going to be up 1 and over 1. Whenever they're crossing over like that, sometimes it's really difficult to see exactly where your stitches are and which one that you're trying to follow. So a lot of times on this, it can really get messed up whenever it's a solid section like that. So a lot of times it's easier to look at the outer ones, and if your outer ones are falling into place, then you're doing okay. Alright, so here on the outer ones, I've got the 2 pink. So my first stitch of pink is going to go right here, and my second one is right here. So we are up 1 and over 1. We have 2 pink stitches. And a lot of times you do have to loosen and tighten up. You have to frog it back. Frog it means to rip it out. A lot of times you have to frog it and either loosen it or tighten it up. Okay, so here we have the long tail chain side, and we have 4 pink stitches. 1, 2, 3. Remember, this one was 8 up. So same thing with this. I'm probably going to have some extra yarn. I'll show you. Let's take a look here. 1, 2, chain up. So that's stitch number 3, and then this here is going to be stitch number 4. I have some extra yarn here though, and if I make this any more loose, it's gonna start to go kind of wonky on this side. So what I like to do, if I go ahead and do a stitch here, my legs are going to start getting muddy. So what I do is I do what I call a modified puff stitch. Tighten it up a little bit. Alright, so that's our number 1 stitch. This one here is number 2. I loop it over. I go through it again to eat up some of that yarn. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have brown on the hook. So that ate up some of that extra yarn. And always, and stop and check and see. Our brown is here, and we want our first brown stitch to be there, and that's exactly where we are. We're going to go with 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which goes into the green. And a lot of times too, the hook size that it shows on here, it shows an eye, 5.5 millimeter. Can we see that okay? Alright, so the yarn is designed to pull. A lot of times the hook size that it suggests on the package is actually going to be the one that works the best for pulling. Okay, now we have 3 green, and here we have where that green is all in the middle crossing over. So I know I have 3 green stitches and my brown lined up correctly, so I'm confident that this is going to go good. 1, 2, and 3, and then we have the 2 pinks. My first one goes here and my second one goes here, so it's up 1 and over 1. It's shifting over by 1, and that's where we want it. And number 2, check, make sure the legs aren't muddy. That one's a little bit of the darker pink is going into there, and it went into that one there as well. And then we have 4, so this is the side where all your legs have to land. So the first rose pink is here, so the first rose pink is going to go here. It's up 1 and over 1. So I've got 1. So I want to make sure that I'm on that side of the V of the legs. Flip it over to see, make sure I've got the V there as well. That's 2. Sometimes you're not going to have to make all your legs land. You're not always going to be able to chain 2 whenever you go up on that side, and that's okay too, as long as you make all your legs land on this side with the no long chain tail. Man, sometimes that gets hard to say. Alright, so it was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I was able to chain 2 on that side. So all my legs have to land over here, and I stop and I look. I've got brown, brown, and now my first brown goes here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here, here, and here. So it's going to land perfectly right where I want it to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it goes right into the green. If you crochet really tight, you might have problems. You might need to learn to crochet a lot more loosely, and you get a whole lot of practice with that by having to frog back and tighten and loosen as you go to make it land in the correct places. I used to be a really tight crocheter. I've crocheted purses and bags and stuff, and with that I always did it really, really tight. I got hand cramps and all kind of stuff, and I actually had to train myself how to hold my yarn differently too. Alright, so this is the long tail side. So here only 3 of my legs are going to land instead of all 4 of them. So I've got 1. I'm going to go ahead and do a modified. Alright, and 2. So that was 1, 2 stitches. 3. But look, I've already ran out. So I'm probably not going to be able to do a modified with this one. Did I do that right? Hang on. Let me make sure I got my head on straight here. So I've got 1 and 2, 3, and 4, and I'm getting kind of muddy, and I really don't like muddy. So I'm going to go ahead and pull back, and I'm going to take out that modified. Sometimes you can't always do a modified on this corner. 1 and 2, because your turning chain is going to count as part of your legs as one of your stitches. So that was 1. This is 2 because it's the long tail side. 3 and 4, and it goes into the brown perfectly. So I'm going to stop and look. Brown, brown, and this is where I want my brown to be. All right. So this is the first time that I've ever pulled with pink camo. I like to, whenever I do my videos, I like to pull it out like that and show you guys that, okay, so this is the first time doing it. Never done it before. So you can pull out any variegated yarn that is known to pull that has a definite repeating pattern, and you can see every single time that you're going to be able to pull it. The trickiest part with planned pulling, I found, is the turns. Whenever people are still having problems with it, they've watched all the other videos, and they say, I still just don't get it. Most of the time, it's because they're not fully understanding the turns. That was my issue. I fought with this for a month, and it was awful. I was ready to pull my hair out. I was so frustrated with it, but by cranky, I was going to learn how to do it. And then it dawned on me that, you know, something wasn't going quite right with the turns, and now I understand why. All your legs have to land on this side. One of your legs does not land on this side. Alrighty, so we're going to do 4 of this pretty rose pink. So that was 1. This doesn't count. So there's 1. This is number 2. And this is number 3. Gotta tighten it up a little bit because I'm running out of pink here. And this is number 4. Squeeze it out there a little bit. I'm gonna make it just a little bit tighter because I want them to be nice and crisp. I always want to make sure too that you don't split your legs. I don't want to go in between that and have a split one, like where your stitch splits it. Sometimes you get a split color. You don't want to split color either, but I also don't want to split it. That's number 2. That's number 3. And that is number 4. And now we're on to the brown. Also, sometimes I've made mistakes, like I forget to put a chain in it. I'll just do a single crochet and then go right into a single crochet and forget that chain and not see it until I come back around to the other side of it. And that's really okay. You don't have to really frog it back to fix that. You just go right on in between it, and you really can't even tell the difference. Brown, 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 and now my first one is going to be brown. So see how this nice pattern is lining up and how the pink is lining up here too? And now the brown is going to line up as well. Alright, I hope this helps. And I've done several other videos. I plan on doing more. And maybe in the future, once I get through all these pulling projects, I've got a whole bunch of these to make this year for Christmas. I'm going to be making blankets. I've made several Afghans already. Let's see, so in here you see the green, and you see the green is splitting off. I've got 1, 2, 3 green, and the first stitch of green here. 1, 2, and 3. I've also helped several people one-on-one with it, with pulling. So if you're still struggling with it, if you're just not quite grasping the concept, I would love to help you one-on-one. I do work night shift, so, and I'm in, let's see, Central Standard Time. Here we go. Long tail side. So one of my pink stitches is going to get ate up. But look, remember how earlier I had a whole lot of pink? And this time I've got a whole lot of pink, so I'm going to go ahead and modify this one. Alright, so that's 2 pink stitches. So one of these rose colored ones is ate up in the chain stitch because I got the 2 pinks, the light pinks. So I only need 3 of the rose to land. 1, 2, 3. 3 of the rose colored pink ones. And as we can see here, that's exactly where I want it to be. Always stop at your turn and make sure that your legs are going to land where you want them to be. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And you can message me on Facebook, and I would love to help you if you're struggling and having problems. My name is Donna McElvaney. And then here we go, we started with the brown, and that's right where we want to be. Alright guys, so I hope this helped, and I'll just go a little bit further here. And really focus on your turns, because that's where most of the problems are. Focus on your turns, focus on, you don't want muddy legs, and you don't want split stitch legs either. You don't want split color legs. 1, 2, 3. And you want your number count. You want your stitch count to be the same. 2 pink, 2 pink, 2 pink. And then I've got 4 of the pretty rose pinks. I've got 5 of the browns. And I have 3 of the greens. 2, 2, 2, and 2. And one last stitch here. We got 2 of the pinks, just like we had on the other row. 1 and 2. And then we've got the rose color. All 4 of these are going to land. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4, because this is the side without the long tail, and all your stitches have to land here. So we've got 4 of them. 1, yeah, that's a little loose, and that's okay. 2, 3, and 4. And then we go right into the brown, and we can stop and look and see. It's exactly lined up correctly. So this side, all your stitches count. On this side, one of your stitches is used up in the chain. And on some of the modified stitches, you can see some people are kind of worried and they're concerned about, you know, how that's going to look whenever it's completed. But as you can see, it's really lining up pretty straight. It's not too wonky on the sides. It's really not that bad at all. There's a little bit of extra. Whenever I do a border on it, actually it kind of accentuates the border a bit, because I do a moss stitch through each one of these, and it makes it look pretty cool, I think. Alrighty guys, so I hope that helps. And you guys have a great day. If you have any questions or problems, please message me. And God bless.